everyone. Welcome to the July 19th virtual roundtable. Today we have Andrea Vlassis-Zahn from our business attraction team. She will be talking about Gem State Prospector, giving everyone an overview, some tips, tricks, and tools for this awesome site. I want to remind everyone, if you have questions, please type them in as they come up, and she will get to those. Likely towards the end of her presentation. There's a lot to cover. And then another reminder that this will be recorded, so if you would like to access it later, just get a hold of any one of us here at Commerce and we can get that for you. So with that, I will hand it over to Dre.
Great. Feel the keyboard and mouse. Hey everybody, looks like I know most of you who are on here, so hello, hope everyone's having a good afternoon, and we will go ahead and get started. For those of you that do not know me, as Amanda said, Andrea Vlassis-Zahn, I'm Business Attraction Specialist with the Department of Commerce. Here's my contact information. I will also have this at the end of the presentation, but I just wanted to give it to you on the front end. So if you have any questions that come up, as Amanda said, we can address those at the end, but if it's something maybe you want to email directly to me, you can go ahead and do that as well, and I'll check those after we get done with the presentation and get back to you as quickly as I can. So hold on just a second.
We're having an issue with the audio. I don't know if we fixed it or not. If you guys cannot hear us, or if we're going in and out, just send us a quick note and let us know, and we'll try and figure it out.
No one's talking right now, so you can't hear it.
Okay. Going in and out with a lot of static. Okay. I wonder. Okay. I think sounds like most people can hear us just fine. So it might be.
Hang out and call back.
Yeah, you might have to hang up and dial back in. We are going to go ahead and continue on.
Those phone lines in Elmore County.
Okay. Back to you.
All right. So now you've just had a really long time to be able to take down my information.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get started here. What is Gem State Prospector? So some of you are probably familiar, but I'm just going to basically give an overview like none of you have probably seen before. So just bear with me if you are experienced and are familiar with Gem State Prospector. So what Gem State Prospector is it's a customized economic development, what I like to call matchmaking site, developed for the state of Idaho in partnership with our GIS planning. We often refer to the site as GSP, so if you hear me refer to that in the short terminology, that is what I'm referring to. Obviously, Gem State Prospector short. So GSP. GSP is linked to the National GIS Planning site, which is called zoomprospector.com. You may be familiar with that. Along with Zoom Prospector, GSP connects site selectors, investors, and businesses and to communities and properties throughout the U.S. Zoom Prospector has been touted as an industry leader and a reliable source to find property and community data information in the economic development industry. So why is Gem State Prospector important for you to know about? Well, we can all agree that information now more than ever is easily accessible online. With this growing accessibility, site selectors, investors, and businesses are doing more research on what they're looking for, prior to even reaching out to a community or a state lead. UC Berkeley research shows 97% of initial site selection screenings are conducted online. At the state level, we are seeing that site selectors and businesses know a lot more about what and where they want to be prior to them even contacting us. This also could be why you're seeing more and more RFIs coming out that initially are not requesting community information. Sometimes we may be on a short list without even knowing it. So on Zoom Prospector, there are over 13,000 U.S. cities and 43 states that are served by GIS planning software. GIS planning reports that economic development organizations and professionals have a 150% advantage over competitors by using their resources, such as Gem State Prospector, when competing in the site selection process. This is why it is so important to have accurate, comprehensive, and relevant data available either on your website or for quick access to use in your economic development process to help you sell your community and your property. So here is an outline of what I'm going to go over on Gem State Prospector today. I have it broken out on the way that the website is laid out. Our most usable portion of the site is your property searches by either buildings, sites, and communities. The supported reports and support data for properties, labor force, demographics, consumer expenditures, wages, business, and your talent pool. Another is some smart tools that Gem State Prospector offers that allows demographic analyzing, I can say that word, business reports, mapping Idaho, which has heat maps, local levels, I'll get into that, and your ability to compare communities, and also the Idaho Department of Commerce proposal submissions. So you guys can see, and some of you have probably heard that when we request RFIs go out, we request that the information is put into Gem State Prospector. This is for us to create our proposal, which makes for a easy, and I'll show this to you, but an easy link to our either site selectors or businesses, our clients, when we're responding to those RFIs. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to move over now into the active web page and work off of that. So the first thing you should know is, how do you get to Gem State Prospector? The website is gemstateprospector.com, and I would recommend, if not right now, bookmarking this on your toolbar for whatever search engine you use. You can bookmark that. Mine, I guess, is not up here, but if you're on Chrome, you could easily hit this little button up here in the corner, and that will bookmark this page. The other way that you can find this information is if you are on the Idaho Department of Commerce website. You can go over here to site selection. You can go down to property search, or you can just click on site selection. I want to show you where it is on the page. There's a link to property search. You'll have to hit full view screen, and it will take you automatically to the site selection page, which has the filter option. There's another way to get to that by going back. Oops, sorry. You can go to the site selection tab again, and it will also take you to the demographics and business information. You'll click on your Get Started, and it also takes you to the filter page here. So you have multiple pages that can get you to Gem State Prospector that you can share with. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our home page here and go over this. So what you can see is our main feature and most used is our Start Search button. This will filter over into your available sites. Same as those others populated. I'm going to go back again. You can also see that we do have a widget on this tool, or on this home page. This widget, you can automatically start your search or your search filters here if you wanted to. You can use the drop down and select on building, sites, or community partners. This widget is actually available if any of you want to have this widget embedded on your site. We can do that, and it will direct you right to our Gem State Prospector. So that's a quick, easy link that you can add on your website. Just feel free to reach out to me after this, and we can discuss where and how to get that on your website if you'd like. Up at the top here, we have our, I'm just going to call it our top toolbar ribbon, and this adds links to the information tabs on the site. You have your available sites, your demographic analysis, your business report, your mapping Idaho, your compare communities, your community profiles. We do have redundancy, which is purposeful right down here. For others, more scenic, I guess, eye view, you have your demographic links, your business links, your mapping, and your compare. You also have links down here to those same pages and a little bit of description of what people would find on those sites. So we'll start off by first going to our available sites. And we'll do that by clicking on our Start Search. Give it just a moment to load. So your available sites will launch, and you'll have this second toolbar here. You have the ability to sort by buildings, sites, businesses, communities. You have the ability to research and look various heat maps, local layers. You can compare communities, and then you can also add properties. So I'll just take a moment here real quick. If you are in a position of managing properties and you do not already have an account on GSP, you can start an account very easily by going here, Request Access Request. You'll fill out the basic information and send the request to me. I get an email notice that you've requested an account. I do a quick verification that the request is coming from a valid business, and upon that verification, I'll accept your request. You'll get an email, and then you can log in and start adding properties. When you log in, there's videos that will take you through a step-by-step process on how to add properties. And if you have clients or are a large broker and have multiple listings you want to add to GSP, you can contact me directly, and I can send you instructions on how to set up an automatic upload that will import your listings and also refresh those listings. I believe it's weekly to keep the most up-to-date information current. It's also good to note here that we do have automatic listings from MLS that also get automatically uploaded onto this site. So going back to our available sites page, if you didn't notice, when I was selecting these different tabs, the filter box over here was changing. And what that does is it's changing compared to the different, it's a very light blue, it's hard to see, but it does highlight there when you're changing. Same if I can select here as well. It's just multiple different options for you to select what type of search that you want to do. In the search box, I'm just going to go ahead and do an example. It has the, oh, sorry, let me step back for a second. It has the basic information to do a search. You have your square footage, your min, your max, for sale, for lease, and the type of building that you may be looking at. For an example, I'm going to go ahead and type in 1,000 or 0 for my minimum, and let's do 40,000 for my max. Let's look for sale buildings. Let's look at industrial. This populates. You can keep these all tabbed, or you can unclick or click them depending on how defined you want your filters and your sort to be. And then I'm going to hit my search button. It will automatically come up how many results are populated. And then you'll see it will actually populate all of those results down here at the bottom. Now, I want to note that this is automatically populating 2 pages. One page holds 10 rows of 7, just so you know. I get confused by this sometimes because I think all my properties have been listed down here. but you can even scroll and then it will automatically tell you as well down here your page. The other thing I want to note, 70 that are on page 1 populate the individual building tabs on the map up here. If I were to go to page 2, it's going to populate the remaining 5. So just keep that in mind when you do a search, that you may have more pages that are going to have additional properties. So let's go back to 1. Now what you can also do, you can obviously select your property down here in the list, but you can also select your property directly from this link right here, or your little building. I don't know, it looks like a Monopoly playing piece.
Icon.
Icon. You can double click on the image and it will take you directly to that site information here. I'm going to go back. I want to, oh, this is a lesson to learn too. Don't use these back buttons. And I actually did that on purpose because I wanted to show you that. It will actually eliminate your feed. So then you have, or your search filters. So we're going to go back in and put these in again. For sale, for industrial, for search. Give it a second. There you go. So actually, when you're in a property, let's go to, like I was before, you want to hit the back button. This will take you back to your search buildings right here. And that will leave your search in the filters that it already was in. That helps so you don't have to go back and forth and do those again. So if you want to refine your search, and that's what I clicked on to get this drop down, you have the option to refine your search. Over here, you have the ability to search by city. You could automatically type in the name, or it has an automatic drop down of all the cities in Idaho. You could do by county. That will automatically populate the drop down for the different counties. You can do region. Same thing. It will do MSA regions, and then it will have the regions that we have broken down by the numbers, and then you can also do the full state. It is already populated by the full state, so you don't have to do a filter. Your custom, I'm going to get into that in a second. You can do custom searches using the either the radius or the polygon feature over here. I'll show you that in a second, but that's where you can basically map out an area and do a search. And like I said, customers can do this too. They can go on here and say, I want to look in this spot and do that sort of radius and just look in those areas. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to pop it up to city. Then you also have, if you want to look for a specific address or specific property that's on Gem State Prospector, you can put the name in here. This is why it's always so important when I ask, what's the name saved in Gem State Prospector? When I'm adding these properties to our proposal, I need to make sure that I have the correct one. And so therefore, that's why I need the actual name to look this up. You have ceiling height, lease rate, sales price, min max. And you also have keywords and your zip code that you can filter by. So I want to do an additional search, and I'm going to type in the word rail because I want to see what information comes up. And then you can't hit enter. You always need to hit search. This will redefine our search. So as you can see, 7 have populated. You can see the 7 different ones that have populated. And you can also see when I highlight over how it highlights the blue down below on the properties. That will also tell you which property it's highlighting. It's nice visual that you can kind of have that reference of, I'm looking at that one and, whoops. That one. Okay. Hold on a second. There you go. There we go. That works. So I'm going to go ahead and look on the Primrose, and this is what's called the property report. The property report automatically brings you to the satellite view of the property. You can switch it if you want the map view, if you want a terrain view. Hybrid is your satellite. You can also take your little guy down here, drag and drop them right on that location, and you can do a visual Google Maps, look at what's around it. I'm going to come back out of this. It will take you back to the satellite view. Then I'm going to scroll down here. This is, like I said, it's a property report. You can save it. You can save it, and you can actually make individual folders. So say you have a project, you can save a folder as a project name, and then you can save properties that maybe you think you're interested in, or on the client side of it, properties they are interested in. Now, I'd also like to point out that this has a new updated look and feel to it, which is very simple and nice and clean. You have the scrolling images that you can upload. You have attachments. These are often great to add, which are the property flyers, which is always I strongly recommend to add if you have it. The availability information, this is all filled out by whoever is adding that property. The details, description, this will all populate depending on what you put in. You have your other property details, contact information, whether that be the broker, excuse me, broker or whoever is listing that property. The other thing I'd like to point out is, remember we did a keyword search for rail. That populated by the word right down here. So I also like to point out that when you are adding properties, to be as thorough and add as much information that may populate any type of a search that you think businesses and or maybe site selectors are looking for. I think it just helps for you to stand out the additional information that you may have that would set out your property. The other great feature about this is that you can export and or share this information right up here at the top. You can share it in a link, which is useful. If you want to get more exposure for the property, you can do it on Facebook or LinkedIn, or you can tweet about it. All of those are great resources. You can also export it into a PDF or an Excel sheet. I'm going to show you what it looks like to export it, into a PDF. You can include the information, the map, and all the photos. And this is what it looks like when you export it. Gives all the information just like you see there. It includes the map with the address, the satellite view, and then also adds the additional pictures. So this also is really great if you need to export this information and have it actually in a printout form, maybe for a meeting. You don't have the ability to get on the site. This actually is just an extra way to be able to share that information. So moving right along, the other features that we have that are, I think, really pretty cool is actually the data and report, or the reports, the data information that go along with each of these sites. You'll see here, I'll call it my third ribbon header tool thingamajiggy. Yeah, there's a lot of them on here. But these are the things that I was going to talk about. If you automatically just click on your labor force, this automatically populates the data for a 10-mile radius around this property address. Now, this is pretty cool because you can use this information. It is interactive. As you can see, as I hover, it gives you the total numbers. You can do a call out if you wanted to on a certain feature. These charts can be downloaded, printed, PDF. The whole chart could be used. You can also change the radius. Give me a second. If you come up here, you'll see it's got the 10-mile circle that it's indicating that. You can change the radius. Say you want to go 15 miles. You have to hit Modify Report. It will recalculate that information. Say you need information on drive time. We often get this request. So say I want to do a 10-minute, maybe. Am I on number lock? Yep, number lock. So 10-minute drive time. That populates it. You can see the map changes to what a 10-minute drive time would be of that area. The other thing that's really cool is as you come down here, it breaks this down into the different types of industry. It has the SIC codes on here. You can also have and dig down deeper into the businesses that are in these areas. So say we wanted to look at the total number of businesses that are in the agriculture services. I just clicked on that, and if I come back up here to the map, it automatically puts in that heat map that shows the total businesses by establishment type, and the point is the agriculture services, and then by each heat layer color will tell you how much that is in that area. Once again, these are shareable. You can use the link. Oh, I'm going to do something first. You can use the link. You can export this map using a link. I'm going to show you how to do that and how it looks like. Copy. Simple. It keeps your heat map. Now the other thing, and I am looking into this, when you share and you come down here on this report, you're sharing the report, you're not sharing the map. So just a reminder, if you send this link, your copy, you're linking. It sends over the report. It does, right now it does not add in the heat levels when you share that. We are working with Gem State Prospector or GIS planning on working out that kink, but just so you know, that will be coming. So you could just use that share link to be able to share the information that you want the customer or your partner to be able to see. So moving on, we also have the same feature when it comes to demographics. These automatically populate your chart. Once again, this is gone back to, but we're at a 10-mile radius of this property. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to clear. It will keep this, and I can move to all these different tabs, but I'm going to go ahead and clear the heat map. So moving down on the demographics, you have your population, you have your age distribution, sex, ethnicity, race distribution, total household. This is also interactive the same way. If I click on this household and I come back up, it automatically does the heat map for the household and the numbers right there. So it's a really cool tool to be able to use on all these features. Again, you can export it. You can export the graphs if you want to. You can export the whole report, or you can share it. So once again, just great useful tools to be able to use. We're going to pop over to consumer expenditures. Same thing. You can call out, you can hover, you can change your miles again, all of that information. The other thing I want to add is on all of these graphs, this information is sourced. So when you go all the way to the bottom of these graphs, see, there's tons of information here that you can see as I'm scrolling down for each one of the industries. It will always have where this information is sourced by. So if you ever get questions on where this is coming from on each one of these reports, It will always have that source information down here at the bottom. So moving on, I'm going to come back up here to the top. Same feature for wages. For this area, 10 miles of this property, median ranges, it gives all the different occupations for these. I believe, I don't think you could, yeah, these I don't think, they're not interactive with the heat lamp, but it just is one more useful tool that you can use if you are, you know, looking at giving information for a property and you don't have an NAICS code, but you have a little bit more of the title of what those positions are for that area. You can look at this real quickly and it will give you that information. Once again, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the date, May 2016. So Gem State Prospector, GIS Planning, they do update their information quarterly. Some of the information that they do pull from is not available, so that's why 2016 may be the most readily available information that they have. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're using these numbers, is knowing where it's coming from and when it's sourced. Another great tool is this business feature. This could be used in so many different ways. You have all of the different types of businesses that are in this 10-mile, oh, it looks like it populated down to a 1-mile radius. It does get pretty big. If you, where are you? Oh, there it goes. You can click on these and it will tell you what the business is, the size, the employment, their sales. This is a great tool for, I mean, existing businesses in your area, or even you to see what you have and compare that information. Once again, it's also, you can click on that business and you can go over to wages and it will give you the same statistics for that area. So everything is linkable here. You can even drill down a little bit. You can open these. And right there, it says that business. You can even look up, I mean, this is great for people for competition. Here's where this is a great idea if you wanted to use a poly. Oh, this is kind of a small window. Easily, you're just going to click on where. Oh, shoot. Obviously, this is a really small radius. But this will populate that you can, it's hard to see, I know it's really small, but you can put in a polygraph and then you can basically select what you want to see. This one I did businesses, and there, it populated the businesses that are in that area. And here it has a list. I mean, just a really cool resource if, I don't know, maybe you're looking to reach out to a certain business of a certain size in a certain area. Here you go. You have that resource to be able to do that right at your fingertips. So I'm going to go back now. Oh, I did exactly what I said not to do, right?
You demonstrated it.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna do this to give you another example. Primrose is what we were looking at. Oh, you can't hit return. You have to hit search. Ta-da! There you go. Viewing your properties. So I believe we were on businesses. This is the same for your talent pool. This one is really cool. You have your degrees. This is automatically, you'll look and see, sometimes it's automatically populated or you can adjust it here on your radius. Here's always where you're gonna see where it automatically populates to. This gives your different type of degrees, your top universities in the area, who's graduating, in what programs, how many people are graduating. This is a great workforce tool or education support tool if you need it. You can drill down on those. Once again, scroll down at the very bottom, and this is where your source material is. And again, you can share these links. You can export these. Let me give you an idea. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll not do that. But you can send them out in a PDF. This segment, not all of the information has it, but I thought it's really cool. Gem State Prospector has started to add a little bit more information on those areas based on this. It will do it based on the area, so it automatically defaulted to the closest. And it looks like Post Falls is what this property is located in. So it gives you a little bit of an overview for education and employment income of what the people in those areas are. So once again, just an additional piece of information. So you have all of those resources to be able to use. This is also used for if you wanted to look up, say, your own community. You can go to community, you can type in, but I find that it often will have you go to this drop down. I was going to use CUNA as an example. I think Lisa's on here. And here where you have the same exact information, and you also have, it starts as a community that you can show. I'm going to click back real quick. You can show the buildings that are in this area. You can look up stuff that way. So those are the ones that are listed. It shows the outline of CUNA. This is another way you can redefine this search. You click on your radius. Say I want to know what's in. There you go. That's a 2. I mean, you can get pretty precise here if you wanted to. We're going to do close to 5. And now I want to see. Oh, I think it may have added 1. May have 1 property. Yep, I think it's right there. So once again, just another way to manipulate any of these things to be able to use for your features. So you can use, let me go back to communities here real quick. Let's do this. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll go back to CUNA. Oh, sorry. Sorry if I'm making you busy. Oh, too far. There she is. So in addition to all of the features that we just went through, we also have additional tools that can be used, smart tools. Oops, sorry. Oh, let's go up here. So that was the available sites tab that we went through. Demographics, business reports, mapping, and also compared communities. The community profiles, this is another way to get to what I just showed you. I'm going to start with community profiles. This is a great infographic that you can use. You can copy, you can link, you can download the image to your websites if you want to. The awesome thing about this is if you link to it, this data is live. And what that means is that it automatically updates, but it's also interactive. So if you wanted to click on anything different, you want to see the different numbers. If you link this, your information and your users, where aren't you? Maybe. Well, it's interactive. So I don't know why the other ones are not changing.
There you go.
There it is. Maybe it takes time to warm up. You can play around with this and go actually pretty deep. So I'm just kind of giving you examples as I click on some of these. You can filter this. So let's go back up to the top. You can filter this. There's my interactions. If you want to do a quick link, there's your people, there's your education, there's your labor force. These are all infographics that you can use and you can manipulate. If you wanted to change your geograph, you can. You can look at ARCO, housing, transportation. This is all of them. This is what we started with. So once again, just useful tools that you can use. So working our way back here, your demographics. This is just another way that you can get that information. You have your labor force, which we visited, your demographics, and your expenditures. This is just another resource that you can get to this information if, say, you didn't have an exact property, or maybe you wanted to do it here and you wanted to change the, let's say, the city just to Nampa, and you just wanted to look at that. You know, you didn't have a property. There's a lot of different ways that you can get the same information. So that's why you can kind of get lost in here, but it's not a bad loss. It's just everything links to the same thing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get to it. Businesses, it's the same thing that I showed you on the other tab. The cool thing about this level is that right now I have just been testing on some clusters. I can make clusters if you're interested. You can also look up industries if you're looking to see. This is on a statewide, so I just selected. The unfortunate thing about this is if you select a business that we don't have, it just says no results found, which is kind of difficult. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that we have cattle. So it'll populate with the total number, revenue, and number of employees in that industry, which is, I think, kind of cool and a great resource to be able to use. Once again, you can fine tune that and drill that down, city, region, or as statewide. Coming over here to custom mapping, you have the map layers. I showed you briefly some of the layers. You can get into this way. I actually don't like to use it this way because I don't think the map is very useful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going actually back here to available sites, and you can go to heat map. This is the same thing as you can see, labor force, demographic, expenditures. I'm going to click on demographics, and here's my drop down of all those things I showed you earlier. But this just helps me drill down and add the heat level map to any of the features that you want to take a closer look at. You can also go over to the layers. This I think is really cool because, let me do this. I want to clear and go back. I'm going to clear the layer here. I'm going to go to my layers and say I want to find out energy. I'm going to take that back. Incentives. This one happens quite a bit. I want to see the areas that are marked for new market tax credit. Boom. There you go. You can leave this level on if you wanted to, and you can add another one. Say I wanted to see where the U.S. hub zones are. You can also unclear them. The other feature that has also been added, which is really cool, is what we have already designated for the federal opportunity zones. This lets you take a deeper dive into these. So I like using this map a lot better. The other feature that I think is really cool, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to unclear these. very often well, not very often. Sometimes we know if we're in competition with other cities, or say you just want to compare yourself to another city or possibly even another state. This tool actually gives you the ability to compare cities, and it's not just in a statewide. So let's do this. I'm going to do Boise City, which is actually Boise, and hit next. And it asks me which one I'm going to compare it to, and I'm going to do Bend, Oregon. Compare. Now, if you scroll down, did it do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. I was looking for my graph. So as you can see, it has all this information, and you can compare. You can compare, I think, up to 10 cities. So once again, you can do that within your own state. You could do that outside of the state. I think it's really cool if you know that you're competing maybe against another city. You can have this information at your fingertips to be able to use. I'm going to come back here and I am going to go up to compare. That's where I am. I'm going to go even further, and I'm going to go up to compare, and I'm going to show you doing it this way. So we did Boise, and then we did Bend. Oops. Where did you go? There you are. This is where it drops down your charts. If you don't want the static data, you can put it in a visual form, and you can use these. And once again, you can export these, you can share these, it drives it or drills down. You can get a lot of detailed information, but I kind of, when you're presenting stuff, sometimes I think visual is better. So once again, you can export these into your image, PDF, whatever you like. So the last thing, I think we're getting close to time. So the last thing that I want to share with you is what us here on the business attraction team use to respond to RFIs when we get those or when we send those out. So a lot of the times you will see that it's required that properties need to be listed into Gem State Prospector. So why that is because we use what's called, on the back end, we have this proposal generation tool. And we have templates of this set up to automatically, or set up for different industries. This one is this is a manipulation of one that I did that was for food processing. I usually always land with the director's message as the first thing that the customer will see. And then if you start at the beginning, it has a map of the properties that were submitted to me on the RFI that I automatically have linked. This gives the ability for a customer to look at these by clicking on the map. They can even go to the address and it will populate that site, the filter site, with the property report. Now this also, then they can also have all of this information, your community, your labor force, your consumer, all of this is here. This saves so much time on having to gather this information for an RFI. When you have your property listed in Gem State Prospector, it's already there. By simply linking it to our proposal page, the customer can see that. It's also done on the next tab in a listed format. This right now is organized by counties. GIS is working with me on coming up with some different options, either them be regional sorting and or address and or by name. We're getting there. The other thing is the ability to add some of our documents. We just add those. Oops. The customer can easily click on the links, and it populates those PDFs, which is great. We have an overview of kind of just the demographic or the infographics on business in Idaho. Just tells them a little bit. We usually do an industry tab. This one was one recently that we did for dairy, like our little cows. It gives a snapshot of that industry right here. And then we usually try to put some infographics if we have either from ag or that industry that highlights the industry. This is the director's message that you saw. This is formatted and personalized depending on the company and or the industry. And then on the very end, we have those infographics. This we do as a state level. Obviously, if we're requesting to, there we go. If we're doing a request to just a specific community, we would filter this down and just do it on the community. Once again, this gives the customer the ability to go through and interactively look at all of these numbers. So this is why we ask for the properties to be in Gem State Prospector. It makes this very easy to submit to a client and get them all the information that they need. So as I said, there was a lot of information.
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple questions.
So yeah, let's answer some questions. Oh, I'll give you back the map.
So first, does it cost extra to have your demographic profile for your community on your website where it automatically defaults to your community?
So there are different levels of, I guess you could say, membership. Right now, everything that I showed you is free to you. It does not cost anything. That is, we at the state provide this and take on that cost. So you can add in links and or download any of the features on here. If you want any of these things customized, there are different levels of whether there's cost to that. And I can talk with you specifically on what level you would want either a link and or a site customized to your community. But for example, I'm just going to take this real quick. Can they see these?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, they cannot see the question.
No.
They can
Okay.
see your screen.
Sorry. So if you wanted, this is on the proposal site, but if you wanted to filter this by your community, let's say Aberdeen, and I'm not on the page, but you could export this or you could link it. You could easily embed that and have it linked straight to this page. There's no extra cost for that. For your properties, if you wanted, say, an outline and only to map to just the properties that you have in your area, say Eagle, we just, depending on how detailed you want to get, there may or may not be extra costs to that. But definitely, if that's something you want to look into, feel free to let me know and I can get you those price structures.
Next question is, can you add local incentives to a proposal?
That is actually what I have on here. Oh, so I would do that in this area, is we would add, I would obviously have who it was by, and then say, like, we had a TRI that already submitted, or we had a project that submitted a pre-app and we needed letters of support. That is something that we can add local incentives. I would suggest having a one sheet or a Word document that can be put into a PDF that we would upload into the document.
Next question. In addition to rent-own ratios, is there more detailed housing data available, like cost per rental unit, also cost of living data?
I would drill down onto those pages and see what they have. If you're not seeing it, let me know. I can reach out to GIS and see if that's something that they have. If it's not on there, well, just let me know what you're looking for. If those are the things that they're not on that information, I'll see if it's maybe something that they're planning or looking for to get that information and offer it. It will just depend on what reach they have for what data they're getting.
I might add probably the best source of data for that is the Census Bureau. Even if we were to get that information, the prospector, they would be pulling it from the Census Bureau. So the American Factbook, ACS, Andrew would be the best place to go for that.
But we can definitely see if that's something that interactively they are either planning or could add.
Next question. If you have an issue adding pictures or other to new property being added, who should contact? Are you the person?
That would be me.
All right. There's your contact information right there. Jackie.
If I could just make one comment about adding files. Try to make sure that they are as small as possible, because if they're over 1 megabyte.
The only hesitation I have is that I've seen files, yes, depending on if you're adding additional property, but I have seen on here, I don't have an example, but I'm just going to do a quick search, and this is a reason why. Sorry, Jerry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I just want to make the comment. You want to make those files as small as possible, because the larger the file, the larger it takes to load, and if it's taking 2 or 3 seconds to load, a customer might just say, forget it and go on to the next.
And that's exactly right, but I think GIS has improved quite a bit too. It may take you a while to load when you're adding them on the back end, but as you can see, the reason why I'm hesitant is, where are you? This is where you want to be careful. I have seen images that end up being very teeny tiny right here. And if customers are taking a look or want to see that picture, make sure that they are a decent size, like something like this. So I understand what Jerry's saying. You want to make sure what your files are loaded are not huge. Definitely resize them, but also make sure that they are not too small, because when you print out on that export to that PDF, I believe it will automatically resize, and I've had reports come up and it's like a thumbnail image, and that does no good to share those things. I want to see if these automatically populate. So on the back end, when you're adding pictures in or properties, if there should be a size range to add, it automatically is populating those. But if it's too small, it can break it down to this size, but if it's too small, it can't blow it up. It can't make it bigger. So just make sure you do a test run, just like I did here, and make sure that your pictures look presentable and nice. But I think Gem State's gotten a lot better at the upload factor for the size, but good thing to just keep in mind. Thanks, Jerry, for pointing that out.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. So our next question is the median wage showing for the state 39 or 39.255? And if so, why the 3 decimals?
Supposed to be a comma, not a period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a comma, not period.
When you see anything like that, please email Debbie. Share with me that page that you're seeing it on. Always good to catch those things. Sometimes the back end links differently. So just share with me that page where you see that. I want to make sure that they correct it on that end.
Andrew, we see your comment here. Also interested in the level of service for broadband at the local level, but that's likely only available to local channels.
There is on the filter map, let me get there, Andrew. I'm not sure if it says levels. let me get out of this.
Oh, you want
specific page.
uploading download speeds, notice availability. Okay. Yeah, that's probably more than you want the local level. Can you put your contact information?
Yep. But go ahead and play with these. I don't know why it's not coming up right now, but the cool thing is on.
I think for that layer, you need to zoom out a little bit.
Is it? Oh, maybe it's just going slow. There's your cable, fiber. I even think, oops,
There you go.
that was CSL. There was one on here that I was like, here's also those census tracts. That's just a reference to where the areas are. Urban renewal. I was looking for utilities, and I thought I saw on here earlier. Now I'm not seeing it. Where they had actually the line. Here's one thing I'd like to point out. Go on here, check your ED partners, make sure you're listed. And if you're not listed, let me know, and I'll make sure that GIS has you on here. As you can see, once you select that ED, this is also a good reference of maybe you need to get hold of someone in Valley County. Here you go. Who's in there? What's their contact information? So, okay. Do I have anything else?
Nope, that looks like it.
Well, thanks, you guys. Let me put up my contact information back up here so you can contact me. I hit from beginning. There you go. So, if you need anything, any questions, you see anything cattywampus, or you'd like to see something that's not there, let me know. Is there any other questions? I guess maybe we should ask.
No, I think we answered all of these. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dre.
Have a good night.